In the heart of Kathmandu, under a monsoon sky, thousands of young people march. They are the same age as you, and they carry banners that read, "Stop Corruption." On the other side of the globe, in a pristine New York skyscraper, a young professional in a corporate boardroom gestures toward a presentation screen. They are not protesting a government, but they are challenging a decades-old company policy, asking, why is this not a more transparent system? Whether in Kathmandu or New York, Gen Z is sending one signal. They want their work to reflect their values, and they believe the future belongs to those who demand more than just a paycheck. For too long, we have tried to understand this generation's workplace behavior through the lens of stereotypes, labeling them as entitled or difficult, but what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if what we see as demanding requests in the office is actually a continuation of their activism on the streets? A demand for transparency, fairness, and a meaningful connection to purpose. Today, we will reveal the generational DNA that connects these two seemingly disparate images and explore how a global wave of young citizens turned employees is reshaping the world of work. The question isn't how to manage them, but how to evolve with them. So hit that like button to help this video reach more people and subscribe to GENSHIFT to get more insights on how to thrive in the modern workplace. 1. The new activism. From protesting corruption to demanding transparency at work. To understand what Gen Z wants at work, we must first understand the world that shaped them. This is the generation that came of age not in a time of peace and prosperity, but in the shadow of a global financial collapse. They watched as the 2008 financial crisis created a backdrop of instability in their early lives. They saw their parents lose jobs, homes, and college savings, not to a single event, but to a system that felt fundamentally rigged and opaque. Big banks and government institutions, which were supposed to be the bedrock of security, were shown to be fallible and untrustworthy, leaving an entire generation with a deep-seated suspicion of large, monolithic systems. This created a profound sense that the outcome of their lives was, in a way, out of their hands. This distrust was compounded by another existential threat, climate change. For many young people, climate anxiety isn't an abstract worry, it's a daily part of their reality. A 2021 global study found that 45% of Gen Z reported that climate anxiety affected them daily, a figure that has likely risen as environmental uncertainty has grown. They are a generation that feels a justifiable fear and anger over the injustices happening around the world, which has manifested in a powerful desire to turn that fear into action. This led to a mindset of, if society isn't transparent, my workplace at least must be. In this environment of distrust and anxiety, social media became a critical tool, not just for communication, but for activism. They saw how platforms like TikTok could be used to expose the Nepo kid trend in Nepal, highlighting the stark contrast between the struggles of the average Nepali and the luxurious lifestyles of the political elite. They saw how an arbitrary government ban on social media platforms, justified as a measure against online crime, was perceived as a heavy-handed attempt to suppress political dissent and a political lifeline for a digitally savvy generation. These real-world events are a perfect microcosm of Gen Z's worldview. The government's ban was not the cause of the protests, but the spark that ignited a deeper generational frustration with systemic corruption and a profound lack of transparency and accountability. This experience has trained Gen Z to be expert lie detectors. They are highly attuned to inauthenticity and are quick to call out when a company's actions don't align with its stated values. They see social media as a place to expose corruption and demand accountability. This same impulse, forged on the digital battlegrounds of activism, is what they now bring to the modern workplace. When they ask for transparent pay scales or honest feedback, they are not just asking for a better work experience, they are continuing a lifelong demand for fairness and clarity. They are asking their employers to become the trustworthy institutions they never had. The split screen showing the protesters in Kathmandu and the professional in the New York boardroom is not just a clever visual, it is a single powerful message that is connecting both scenes. We demand transparency. 2. The values compass. What Gen Z actually cares about. For years, companies and managers have looked at Gen Z's high turnover rates and labeled them as disloyal job hoppers. But what if that perception is wrong? According to new research from Randstad, the average job tenure for Gen Z in the first 5 years of their career is just 1.1 years, significantly shorter than any previous generation. However, the report is quick to point out that this is not a sign of short-term thinking. Instead, it argues that Gen Z is growth hunting, not job hopping, moving because of a perceived lack of purpose and clear career pathways within their roles. 1 in 3 Gen Z workers plans to change jobs within the next year, underscoring a mobile generation, not out of disloyalty, but out of a drive for growth. Instead of using an outdated career ladder model to navigate their professional lives, Gen Z has a new mental framework, the values compass. This compass has 4 key axes: transparency, balance, purpose, and growth, that they use to guide every career decision. When they find a company where their values align, they are fiercely loyal. Otherwise, they are quick to move on. The first axis is transparency. Coming from a world where they've witnessed opacity at every turn, Gen Z craves honesty and clarity from the moment they are hired. They need to understand the why behind company decisions and how their daily contributions connect to the larger mission. A study found that only 15% of employees have a clear understanding of their organization's most important goals, a source of major frustration for a generation accustomed to instant information and expecting clear, consistent systems. They want to see visible alignment between a company's stated values and its day-to-day decisions, and they are quick to spot inconsistency. For them, formality matters less than honesty and usefulness. The second axis is balance, which goes far beyond a simple desire for flexible hours. This is a generation that has the lowest life evaluations at work and is the most lonely. Gallup's May 2025 findings show that Gen Z is nearly twice as likely as Gen X and almost 3 times as likely as baby boomers to have experienced loneliness a lot of the previous day. This is a profound driver of their workplace behavior. While they value flexible working options, their preference for hybrid work is not about avoiding the office, but about a deep-seated need for in-person connection with their coworkers and managers. Their flexible schedules, where they can choose their on-site days, often mean they show up when coworkers are not in the office, reducing the potential for meaningful interactions. This is why they are the most likely generation to want others to work less remotely, because it taps into a core psychological need for community. The third axis is purpose. For Gen Z, purpose isn't just about a company having a good mission statement. It's a deeply personal and subjective trifecta of money, meaning, and well-being. Deloitte's 2025 survey found that financial insecurity is a rising concern, with nearly half of Gen Z and millennials not feeling financially secure. The data reinforces that without financial security, they are less likely to have a positive sense of mental well-being or feel their work is meaningful. For many, the ability to earn a decent wage is, in itself, a purpose, as it provides stability and a path to financial health. But beyond that, they are deeply invested in making a tangible social impact and will leave a job if they feel it lacks purpose. Finally, the fourth axis is growth. Unlike previous generations who were content to slowly climb a rigid career ladder, Gen Z is thinking about building a portfolio of skills and experiences. They are proactive in their own development, with a staggering 67% building skills outside of work hours, and they are not waiting for their employer to invest in them. Their desire for growth manifests in a demand for continuous real-time feedback that is relevant and specific. They want to know exactly how their daily work connects to business outcomes and their career path. The traditional annual review, which feels opaque and outdated, is being replaced by a demand for clear skill frameworks and documented paths for advancement. They want to know how they can get to the next step and how quickly, with unclear career progression being a major reason for turnover. 3. The values-based workplace, a blueprint for the future. The challenge for companies today is not to force this new generation to adapt to old systems, but to build a workplace that is aligned with their new values. This shift is not a war between generations, but a necessary evolution that is a win-win for everyone. The future of work belongs to companies that move from a transactional relationship, a paycheck-for-labor, to a values-based one, where transparency, purpose, and growth are the new currencies. For companies, adapting means embracing what we call high-effort authenticity. This means going beyond polished mission statements and truly living your values. The evidence suggests that for an organization to attract and retain young talent, its leaders must walk the walk, demonstrating their values in their daily actions and decisions. Companies must foster a culture of transparency by explaining the why behind decisions and creating clear channels for two-way communication. Leaders should prioritize honest communication about company performance, openly share information, and eliminate the information silos that Gen Z finds so frustrating. In response to Gen Z's demands for balance and mental well-being, companies need to move beyond simple perks and offer real, tangible support. This includes implementing flexible working arrangements that are genuinely hybrid rather than rigid, and providing access to mental health resources and wellness programs that address their loneliness and anxiety. This investment in their well-being fosters a sense of care and community that is crucial for engagement and retention. To address their need for purpose and growth, companies must build a lattice, not a ladder. This means offering continuous learning opportunities, providing clear skill frameworks, and creating multiple pathways for advancement beyond a single hierarchical line of command. This isn't about giving promotions to everyone. It's about providing a visible, honest, and documented path for skill acquisition and increased responsibility. Companies must also find ways to help employees see how their daily work contributes to the company's mission, and in turn, how that mission is creating a positive societal impact. For Gen Z, this shift also means they must be empowered to find companies that align with their values. During interviews, they can learn to ask the right questions to assess a company's values compass in action, not just its promises. Questions like, can you give me a recent example of how the company's values were demonstrated in a difficult decision? Or how is feedback structured here, and what does a clear growth path look like for this role? Will help them identify an organization that truly practices what it preaches. The evidence points to a clear future. Companies that embrace this new approach will attract and retain loyal, engaged talent, while employees will find meaningful work that is a true extension of their identity and a platform for positive change. The generational conflict we see today is not a threat. It is an invitation to evolve. Conclusion. The journey from the streets of Kathmandu to the corner offices of New York reveals a single unifying truth. Gen Z's demands for fairness and transparency are not a passing trend, but a powerful and logical continuation of a global movement. They are not asking for more simply because they are entitled. They are asking for what their formative years taught them to demand. They have seen the consequences of opaque systems and are now seeking to create a better, more just world, one workplace at a time. This is not a conflict to be won or lost, but an opportunity for a profound and necessary evolution. The companies that choose to see this, to listen, and to build a values-based workplace will not just retain top talent, they will be shaping the future. We want to know, what do the 4 axes of your values compass look like? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video helped you understand the new rules of work, hit that subscribe button to join our community and never miss an episode.